Good evening, Vested community. So, my friend Jamar's not here, and I can't hear myself. So, I don't know if you can hear me either. We're having technical difficulties. So, it's kind of ironic that this week's show is about letting go. The reason why it's about letting go is because as up against it is life can seem to be sometimes, you run into these times or these weeks where it's just like, oh man, this was bad, I thought last week, but then came this week. And it's like, sometimes it just doesn't stop coming. And what do? Like, how are you supposed to inspire, create, and empower when you have trouble figuring out how to do normal things? Just function, just to operate normally. So on the show, I comfortably like to have videos and break it up a little bit and make it be entertaining, but how vulnerable can you possibly get to just be sitting here as a talking head? I don't know if this community really knows this, but I had to get thrust into doing this online, my face, people listen to me thing, because it's not like I didn't mind doing it, but like it's just uncomfortable, like being vulnerable and like getting in front of everybody and just saying, hey, look, this is where I screw up and this is where I've sucked at life, and to really push and poke at some of these questions to make things happen. I don't know, man, it's not easy. So here I am, very uncomfortable, extraordinarily vulnerable. We didn't have an opportunity to pull in a guest this week, and Jamar and I didn't even really talk too much about like how we were going to unfold the topic or what it is that we were going to do. And then we kind of got into the production meeting late, and I don't know, man, here we are. So what I wanted to do this week is I wanted to touch upon letting go, because there's no manual on how to transition into something when you don't know how to do it. I don't know how to just let go of all the things that I'm not good at. So let's start with a definition. Letting go involves being aware of a feeling, letting it come up, staying with it, and letting it run its course without wanting to make it different or do anything about it. It seems simple to let the feeling be there and to focus on letting out the energy, but man, it's like you can read a bunch of good books on self-help, and you can even start practicing the self-help stuff. But until you can embody it, there's still this agitation. So if we can, tech team, I'm going to do the best I can with me just rambling on camera about being vulnerable, letting go, but I guess I'll let go of not wanting to do that, because here I am doing that. And we don't have all the bells and whistles that I'm comfortable with to do an awesome production like my cohort in crime, Jamar, but I do have the invisible cohort in crime, and I always abundantly have enough if I let go and flow into the moment. So let's drop a little banner down, inspired. We can do that, all right? Hey, there it is. Tech team rocks. So we shall inspire. I'm inspired. But this week, inspiration didn't come comfortable. And one of the things that kind of made me want to focus on this topic this week was how, I don't want to say I failed at it, because I didn't fail. I learned. We either win or we learn, and I learned. And I will share a story with you. When the Super Bowl happened over the last weekend, congrats, Tom Brady, I knew you'd win anyway, I went over to my parents' house. And I knew that the way that they live their lives, as much as I love them, is to each their own, and sometimes more complicated for me in my process of trying to learn how to be mellow and manage and lead and yada, yada, right? So at this point in my understanding process, I have a lot of really good strategies, and I'm actually practicing them. I'm happy with my growth. Like, things are starting to unfold in my life because I'm putting in positive intention, and I'm starting to actually prove I'm starting to actually be what I've been working towards. It's so complicated to kind of wrap my head around it because like I am what I am, right? But there's certain things that I feel within inside of me that is like this discomfort, right? And I don't always want to. Jamar, there's my co-host. He is now hitting me up via Facebook. Okay, let him go. So as I start to practice all these oneness things in my life, as I start to move towards a better me that in a lot of ways is uncomfortable because I'm not good at executing the things that could lead to my abundant happiness. In a lot of ways, you hear that sometimes it's simplicity. Like you hear these Buddhist sayings and mantras that is like, just breathe. And it's like, yeah, great. I try, but I'm a crazy man. So when I just breathe, it's tough. And all my thoughts kind of get away from me. And in terms of letting go, how are we supposed to find inspiration in the muck? So we make up our mind that we want something and we want to move in a direction. But when the feeling doesn't align, how are we supposed to let go and why should we? Here we go. And into the real world story, right? So I love football. Love you too, Jamar. Love you too, bro. I'm out here by myself, man. You're like, let's do a show, man. I'll be there for you. I'll be a co-host. And man, sometimes stuff happens. I'm going to let it go. Anyway. So you're doing a lot of work. Really happy about the progress that I'm making. Okay. I'm starting to see a self that is, it makes me happy. I'm starting to generate energy with the changes that I'm making because I'm really starting to believe that the feeling of goodness is going to win out. And I'm going to be able to continue to feel more and more good. And all of the drama and suffering that I've experienced in the past doesn't have to be part of my future. So I'm putting these strategies into play and I'm starting to learn how to feel better about things. But in my mind, when I'm going over to this place where I know that in the past I've experienced some difficult feelings and emotions, I kind of like ramped up. I'm like, all right, I got to prepare for this, right? I got to get all ramped up to go over there and be my best self, right? So asterisk, I'll come back to that. So as I roll into the house on Super Bowl Sunday, there were a few things that happened right off the bat that for whatever reason shook me up. Or what it did is it aligned with the idea that I'm going to have to overcome something today, as opposed to rolling in, being me, having fun, right? If I could have just gave into my essence, who I was, my purpose, that I could have enjoyed why I was there, and that was my focus, then that's how everything would have fallen into place, right? So anyway, get into the house, pull into the one or two corners that my big ass wheelchair fits in. And we're watching the game and, things are happening. There's noise and, there's things that are comfortable and things that are uncomfortable. But I'm sitting here and I'm like executing strategies, right? I'm like, okay, this is how I'm going to deal with this. This is how I'm going to deal with that. I'll put out this fire. I'll put out that fire. And it's like, I think I'm doing a good job, right? I'm like, I'm on top of this. Like normally stuff like this would bother me. And, right now I'm just kind of, things are good, man. I'm watching the game and I'm enjoying my family and, all is well. So I get into a conversation with my dad and out of nowhere, my mom, my excited, crazy mom, crazy like me, she raised me, runs into the picture, right? And goes right in front of me and doesn't even notice me there. So as I'm executing all my strategies here, I'm like, okay, she told me that when this happens, that instead of freaking out or reacting unfavorably, what I could do is just say something subtly and maybe that would work, you know what I mean? And do it in a nice way so that it doesn't come off like I'm being all demanding or anything like that. I mean, there's part of me that's sitting in this wheelchair that's having to get over myself going like, why would you run in front of me? Doesn't she see me here? And that's besides the point. But anyway, so she runs in front of me and I'm executing strategies, right? So I'm like, Mama, come on, you ran in front of me. You're not even seeing me. She didn't even hear me. She didn't even hear me. Okay, well, she was excited, and that's why she didn't see me. So it wasn't that she was doing something to be rude or not paying attention to her son. She was just excited in a party, right? Because people get excited at parties. So my third strategy was that I tried to just run up and kind of like bump her in the ankle, right? Just to kind of, hey, Mama, what's wrong, Mama? I'm going to chair here in front of me. And when it happened, I startled her, and she jumped. And she kind of realized at that point that, oh man, like I just ran in front of him. And then I was like, hey man, I'm trying to have a conversation, yada, yada, yada. I didn't mean it in a negative way, but I was so charged with this idea that I had to execute these. Hey,
Hey!
Jamar! Oh my God, bro. The diatribe I've been on, man. I hope we still have people here, man. I was telling this story and I thought it was going good, but I don't know. It's just me and this camera, bro. I still can't hear you, dude. You there?
Hey, what's up?
Hey, there's Jamar. Woo, that was rough.
Hey.
Okay, we're in the middle of Inspire. I'm telling a story. I don't know if it's good. I feel like I'm rambling. I'm sweating a little.
How you doing, man?
No, I don't know, man. I don't know. It's just been me and this light and this camera and this computer and my lovely wife in the back. She's been kind of keeping it going. I don't know if people are hearing me or feeling me. I don't know. I'm trying to let go, bro.
Come on, man. Hey, you make it happen.
Okay, so
right,
we're at the Super Bowl party. You're gonna have to go and post this and then see what happened. And we got the story and everything. But Jamar, one of the reasons why letting go, the topic of letting go, was special to me this week is because I'm in the middle of it, dude. I'm in the middle of trying to master my own thoughts in the midst of all this craziness. And part of the story that I'm telling is that when I approached this situation with the idea that I needed to overcome what might happen, I set the stage for, I don't know, bro. All I know is that what was there was what I expected, and then it unfolded how I thought it would, as opposed to just being present. So the inspirational part of this story is the way that ended up working is I hurt my mom's feelings. I did not mean to do that. I did not mean to make a scene. And the crazy part is, like, I didn't yell and scream, but Jamar, I noticed that I'm starting to vibrate at such a powerful frequency that when I'm not really conscious about all the things that are going on around me, I have the ability to just light everything on fire, dude. And I really, truly, with all my heart, I'm not trying to do that. But, dude, back to the asterisk for all those that are still with me, thanks. When I went to the situation expecting that I needed to overcome things, I set the stage for it to be that narrow thing that I would have to execute on these opportunities, as opposed to just letting all of the things that happened in the past go and just going and enjoying myself and charging myself with the positivity about being in a situation that I chose to be in. Now, if you choose to be in a situation that you know is going to be complicated, you might want to take joy to that scenario so that you can share that. Because when I'm sitting here executing strategies and all this crazy stuff was going on, what I was focused on is executing strategies to overcome something that might or might not have been there. But if I would have showed up and I was just there and I could have just recognized that, Jamar, I chose to be in a situation that I knew was complicated, but the reason that I did that is because I was going there to be happy and extract joy and experience some compassion with the people that I love, even if they are crazy, then I would have been setting the stage for a lot more positivity. Now, listen, everybody, this is impossible, and I screwed it up. And the inspirational part of it is that in this opportunity, I looked at me and recognized that I can do a better job of artistically executing on being happy and experiencing joy and compassion. And I could have avoided all of that. We need to set our intentions right now when things are so gnarly that there is no answer, so that we can create the answer here and be happy here and then share that. Because in that moment, when something like that happened, if I was already happy, it wouldn't bother me. I wouldn't have had to execute strategies to overcome stuff. I would have just been there, and I could have experienced it in any other way that I wanted. But when I was like, oh, I got to do this to overcome that, and it's like, man, I was already setting it up for a battle that I had to swing swords. What if I just went in there and I was like, hi, everybody, I love you and enjoy you. And then when things got complicated, I just made a joke. That sounds like more fun. Now, if we can apply that mentality to life, I think moving forward won't be so arduous. But Jamar, will you talk now, please?
Coach D, can you hear me?
I can.
Oh, man. Hey, I'm so proud of you, man.
I'm trying to let go, man. It's not going so well. I'm trying. That's the problem. I'm trying. Actually, I'm here doing it. How about that? Ooh, that was like a full circle.
We're doing, brother. Remember, trying. And there's nothing wrong with trying. Like Yoda says, and for all the Star Wars fans out there, but Yoda says, there you or do not, there is no try, right? But
yeah.
This week, as you were on your heart to talk about let go, and we were talking about go, and then we have technical difficulties coming in, right? But time waits for no one. And so you say, hey, I'm just going to get out there and be uncomfortable because this is something that's never happened. Like episode 28, it's the first time we've had this where we had some technical challenges with the audio.
Jamar, I'm sweating. Jamar, quadriplegics don't sweat.
This
what the hell?
Be a great time to have a deodorant sponsor. And
look
at his armpits, nice and dry.
I'm trying to rip and curling. I don't know.
Actually, I wear Old Spice. Degree. We can't accept your sponsor right now, but Old Spice. Let's talk Old Spice. But no, Coach D.
I'm in, man. Whatever. I'm good. Yes, that's the answer.
But you look at it though, right? Let go. Like whatever happens. I was just talking to a good friend of mine, great friend of mine. Actually, we have the same birthday. My buddy Aaron in Washington. And he was just sharing about how, there we go, yo. No, try not. Do or do not. There is no try, right? And so as trying, we understand the concept of, hey, I'll try that again. Like I understand try is the attempt. But what Yoda is talking about is the mindset of it. Like it's not, we're not trying to do it. We're going to accomplish it. Now the try is the attempt, right? But I was just talking to my buddy Aaron, and I said, hey man, we're about to do a show and the topic is letting go. I said, what does letting go mean to you? And he paused for a moment. He said, it means a lot. And he shared about check this out, tech team. I love that. Thank you, guys. I am a life warrior. Check out what my My Intent bracelet says. Booyah! What's up, baby? What's up? Yeah, warrior. Bam. Okay, we're all warriors. But my point is, Aaron said, hey, man, I just realized I had an experience with an organization that he's a part of where he felt a vibration that he didn't like, and he removed himself from the situation. And he said that he had to get to the root. Like it wasn't the situation that was the issue. What was the root cause that let that situation tip him over? And he found out he was over the last week been processing and introspection and reflecting. He said he came to find out that there's some energy there between him and his dad, who's going through a health challenge. There's things that he wants to say and release to his dad, but his dad won't understand because of his health state right now. So Aaron has these feelings that have been bottled up that he has not let go. And it's pouring over into these other categories of life. Right. And so you think about the junk drawer, Vested community. Everyone has a junk drawer in their life. I don't care what kind of house you live in, apartment, mansion. Everyone has a junk drawer. The junk drawer is that drawer where you can go get a battery. You can go get a coupon from 4 years ago. You can go get a paper clip. You can go get an old business card that someone left you who wants to do house cleaning. Like it's that drawer that you can find something. What we do as people is we junk drawer our life. And when we don't let go in one area, and if we junk drawer our life where everything is all connected and intertwined, then things start to flow over. But when my brother Aaron was sharing this with me, he came to the revelation that he has not let go of these feelings that he has towards his dad. And now his dad's in a state where his health is deteriorating and he's not clear-headed. And my brother Aaron wants to say all these things to his dad that he hasn't said, that hasn't let go, that he's been bottling up. And so it was amazing that he shared that story with me, Coach D, coming in. I was like, man, like how many stories? We all have some stories, or maybe it's just me and you, brother, but we all have some stories out there, I believe, where we can talk about how some things that we haven't let go, how not letting whatever it is go that's creating the pain, the anger, the frustration, the resentment, the fear, the guilt, the doubt. And then that is a catalyst to creating damage in a whole nother area.
Jamar, I think that's what's going on with everybody right now. I think that this is a very uncomfortable time that, like with this isolation, we're finding out what's inside. And as we work through these control dramas, it's not comfortable. And as you were explaining with your friend, when we get to these conclusions, I don't want to say it's too late, but we're starting to recognize, or we're starting to accept the idea that the timing that we're coming to these conclusions, I don't want to say it's karma based, because there's a lot of value in being able to understand what it is that you're doing that is not necessarily in alignment, but at the same time that's not comfortable. You're becoming aware of a distortion. And distortions are like, oh, okay, I don't want to say this is where I'm doing things wrong, but at the same time, like if I were to tweak it here, this is where I will get better value out of what's going on. And like with your friend specifically, he can't tell those things to his dad right now because his dad no longer has the capacity to understand. And I think that as we go through this COVID reflection, there are certain awarenesses that are really going to hurt you, Mar, that I recognized in my family, that through this experience over the weekend, that it was very much a metaphor, that if I were able to charge myself with more kindness and more patience and more compassion, then what I'd be able to do is share that with other people. So when I approach the world with a strategy to oh, you know what? Can we create? Let's create. Boom.
I think we have a message too that we want to talk about.
Okay, so when we approach the world with this idea that we need to overcome, we're already setting the stage for a battle. And I did that over the weekend. But to me, I can be inspired about the idea that I'm creating a new way because I'm now aware of it. So Jamar, with your buddy, with his dad, you could sit in the idea that now my dad doesn't have the ability to understand what it is that I'd like to tell him. Or you can use that as a massive symbol and metaphor in your life, so that when you run into similar situations that hold the same energy, it might not be the same thing, you'll recognize it. And then when you recognize it, you'll know what to do then and there. There's the strategy that you can put in place. There's how you can create with something very uncomfortable. Instead of sitting in the energy of, oh, I wish, man, I could have, this and that, you can humbly accept the idea that this lesson isn't meant to feel very good. This lesson is meant to not necessarily sting, but radiate inside of you so that you never forget it. You can't continue to follow in that sick loop because you'll just keep creating. Right. But this weekend, when I was able to understand what it is that I did, when I was able to assess myself, my own vibration as it raises, and to see how it is that I affect the people that I love, I can make small adjustments. And the adjustment might not be comfortable. I can look at that and take responsibility for the idea that, look, I participated in this. Okay, it wasn't comfortable. And there's something that I can do that next time I'm in this situation that involves the same type of energy, that I can create from this place that was very uncomfortable. Because if it's a coin, the other side of it is happiness. And I want to use this discomfort to be able to stimulate my future comfort. That way, your buddy, man, can teach his son or daughter or coworker or wife or whoever else in his life the value that he got out of that really uncomfortable lesson that he learned with his dad, and he's never going to forget it. That's how you can use a stain to work for you.
Mm-hmm. Wow, that's powerful, man.
It's uncomfortable.
Can I share a create story?
Please, man.
So you guys know I have two amazing vested community, and I have two amazing child assets. My daughter, Khalees Faith, she'll be 11 this year, August. And my little son, King Levi, he'll be 4 this year, December 22nd. But Coach D, a little over 4 years ago, when the universe connected me and his mom together, Brooke, I felt that we got on a supernatural rocket ship. And I've shared a little bit about this before. And a lot of times I think in life as people, we put the cart in front of the horse, right? We're so focused on where we think we're going that it's in our best interest. And so our relationship progressed very fast. And I really felt that, I loved her like that, for us to move that fast and talk next level in our relationship, living together. Well, next thing you know, she gets pregnant, right? And I remember the day that she found out, and she calls her parents. They're so ecstatic. The story, Brooke had lost the child in the previous marriage, so she had that healing process she was going through. So it was a big deal that her family found out that she was having a baby. And I called my dad, and man, everybody's just excited. And a few months into the pregnancy, we ran into some relationship challenges. So the reason I'm talking about create, because we created our son, right? Together we created our son. And then we ran into some challenges. And she said, in short, I don't want the relationship, but I'm having the baby. And so, Coach D, when talking about letting go, I had never felt this feeling in my lifetime. I felt anger. Anger squeezed my heart. I felt like someone actually had my heart in their hand and was squeezing my heart, and I felt the pressure. That's how much anger I had in me about the decision that was made for us not to be in that relationship as she was pregnant with my son. Totally out of my control. You can't make another person love you. You can buy all kind of stuff in the world, but you can't buy someone's true love. And at that time, I had felt this, and it started to build and compound. And it got so intense. I was doing my best not to release it into the universe, but God knew inside like how angry I was. And man, I talked to God about it. And I was talking to her mom, it was months later, and I told her, I said, listen, Stu, the only reason I'm here right now is because of the grace of God. Like God gave me the grace, and he gave me he helped me release it, man. And today, looking back, because I've let it go, we have a great relationship. She's such an amazing mother. She's a phenomenal mom. Just does a tremendous job with our son. She has a great relationship with my mom. She has a great relationship with my daughter's mom. I'm so grateful that she's the mother of my son. But I had to go through the process of letting it go. And it did not happen overnight. But God gave me the wisdom to know that what I was feeling, I had to let go for me, not just for her, not just for our son. Because I was the one who was suffering. I was the one going through the feeling of, like you talking about lighting people on fire, right? So, man, I am such an advocate. Whatever you're going through, Vested community, doesn't mean forgiving means forgetting, but letting go is so for our inner being, for our mental state, our emotional state, our physical state, right? Giving people grace and looking back, because we can only connect the dots when we look back. I now recognize that God used me to bring the greatest blessing to her life, our son. I've seen him, little King Levi, help her heal her heart. And our son will never replace her daughter that she lost. He's just carrying the torch of love for his mom.
Oh, okay. Pump the brakes, Jamar. This is great. Now that I have my boy back, my co-host, man, what you just did it. You just did it right there. And since you're the other guy that we get to fire at today, that was empowering. So if you don't mind, man, can we, that was empowering.
Do it, man. Let's do it. I'm ready. Hey,
I'm ready.
Boom.
Okay. Tech team had come up with why. Well, a little something to say about why you would want to let go. My lovely, will you throw it up there real quick so Jamar and I can kind of weave this into his story? Because what you did, Jamar, is you transcended something that is extraordinarily difficult that a lot of people have to deal with. I mean, people separating and having kids we're not in 1920 anymore. People don't just stay in marriages because it's the right thing to do and grit it out. You know what I mean? We go our separate ways. And in a lot of ways, man, I think it's good. So there comes a point in all of our lives where we need to let go. We need to let go of the past and the hurt and unmet expectations, less hopes and dreams. It is a healthy way to move on. We cannot possibly continue to move forward in our lives if we are constantly holding on to that bar from our past. So you explained this squeezing feeling, and every single person I feel like at this point in your life, if you're not currently going through something like that, you have before or you're going to. And it's going to be in different levels and variations. And it's how are you going to respond once it does? Because, Jamar, one of the things that I kind of want to unfold with you for our vested community is because you and I very much agree upon our faith. We know that we can tap into this source, that we can tap into this creator and this unity feeling where we can align ourselves with a consciousness that feels so right that there's no need in denying it, that we don't question it, right? But since we've accepted this very specifically as God or as a creator and as our faith, it's easy for us because we've gotten into a rhythm to be able to tap into that. I want to see if we can, in an empowering fashion, be able to find a way to be able to discuss with the vested community how to move towards that consciousness or that alignment if they don't currently have a relationship with an avatar, with a creator, with a quote unquote God. I want to see if we can break it down real quick. And it's not going to be easy because it's been centuries that people have been trying to do this. But in a time where everybody absolutely needs to be able to find it in themselves to be aware and accept things as they are, to choose the right thoughts and to move forward towards a purpose that moves you, it's so impossible, man. You literally have to overcome everything about yourself to be able to execute upon a higher continuum. Now, Jamar, it says how to do it in the Bible. You and I both can agree that our boy Jesus is a pretty darn good example to align your life with because, you know, the compassion and humility and way that you can understand life through that story and through his life that he offered to us, it makes sense. But for those who don't, hey, go for it. How can we explain this, Jamar, in a way that is a general, oh, man, go for it. Let's hear what you got. You know where I'm going.
Yeah, I love that question. And I truly, thank you God for helping me with this. I truly believe that just because someone understands God's glory and grace doesn't mean that they understand forgiveness.
Ooh.
Just because someone believes in God doesn't mean that that individual has an easier time forgiving if they haven't really embraced forgiveness. You know, for me, what helps me is that I know everything, all of the shortcomings in my life, everything I've done and said, and my actions that are not things that God would want me to do. Yeah.
Jamar, before I forget, how did you forgive yourself for squeezing your own heart?
Oh, man. At that time, I wasn't looking at what I did. I was like, how could she do this? See, that's the first step, is when we need to recognize and take ownership of what our part is. And sometimes we're so, like I saw this quote, it said, the mind is like water. When it's turbulent, we can't see. When it's calm, we can see. The mind is like water. When it's turbulent, we can't see. When it's calm, we can see. So, and you think about it, a lot of times when we're going through these feelings, we really can't see. And it takes a moment of calmness for us to really have that introspection. But I take 100% ownership of my part that led to that decision, right? Because I think there's one thing about women, and I know Tech Team would agree with this, and so would all the women who ever watched the show. Part of a woman's superpower is her intuition. And if a woman doesn't feel in her heart like something's right, it's just like it's just not gonna be right. And sometimes I think women get indicators and indications sooner than us men do. And that's just part of like the way God made them. That's what I believe. But to answer your question, how can you encourage someone who doesn't have that supernatural foundation to stand on and to draw the power from, right? Because God knew I was weak in that moment, but it was his strength that he extended to me. Man, that's a tough question, because if someone's just relying on their own intellect, or their own understanding, their own knowledge to try to connect the dots, man, it's like the Bitcoin equation, right? Like, how do you, like, you can mine for centuries and find like a half, right?
Okay, let's break it down now, because there's something in both of our stories where, I mean, it's we have to find a way to be able to inspire from a place where we're angry and frustrated and hurt. And that's kind of what I'm getting at, because everybody right now, they're angry and they're frustrated and hurt. And what's inspiring about that? Like, they're looking at these things and saying, okay, if I created this drama and now I'm being mindful about the idea that this is of my doing, or some of it, you know what I mean? And it sucks and it really hurts. How do you use that anger, that frustration, that pain, to be able to create something that's not that? And like you said, I mean, if you lean into the idea that if you push beyond yourself, that there is an abundance beyond your understanding, and you have faith that that's the case. We have stories, we have practices, we have groups of people that we lean on that can show us this. So if I'm looking at the world, I'm going to try to say that if you're doing this as an individual, as like you said, Jamar, I can't even imagine, bro. It's got to be very, very difficult to not have that community of abundance to be able to lean into. I would say to try to find your inner joy, something that, like, maybe when you were a kid, or in the most joyous time of your life, you can think about that right now. And I met a guy today, Jamar. We walked across the street, and I was with a close friend of mine, and we're getting lunch. And I love meeting people, and people are fascinating. And I met some guy in the front, and we had a good conversation. I pulled him over to our table, and we ended up meeting lunch with him. And he was kind of like, he was happy to meet us and happy to be at lunch, but it was almost like he was putting on that, like, I just met a new friend and I want to give him the best me. So about 10 minutes in, we got into the conversation, and I started poking him a little bit. I'm a belief strategist, so I started poking him. I really wanted to know who this guy was, so I started asking questions like I do on this show. And I got to sort of start to understand who he was, and there was an inner frustration that he didn't really have an outlet to be able to, I don't want to say complain, but to be able to, like, throw noodles against, to be able to get good ideas and to just be wrong and be all right with it. And he was sort of stuck in that, and I totally understand. But then I looked at him and I said, okay, what do you really enjoy doing? He said, I enjoy helping people. And I said, okay, cool. That's awesome. I do too. That's part of the I am, we are process. But when you're doing it with somebody else, it involves somebody else, and there's an interaction. That's the we are. So what about the I am? I was like, what do you lose sleep over? What do you tweak out over? What do you just, like, think about it? And like, oh, and all of a sudden he's like,
yo, you there? Hey, I'm going to finish the sentence. And Coach D said, and all of a sudden he said, I don't know what he was going to say, because Coach D is telling the story, but vested community. You back, Coach D? Vested community. We're talking about letting go. You know what? After this show today, we're going to let it go, because we had all kind of challenges today, right? But we're still here. And the question for you is, what have you not let go of? What have you not let go of? Is it a past relationship, past business failure? Have you lost a loved one? Has your health been impacted? Have you lost money? Right? Have you lost a family bond? Have you lost your drive? Have you lost your vision? Have you had setbacks? Are you upset at the government? Are you upset at who's in office right now? Who was in office? Are you upset about that? Are you upset because of the weather conditions? Like, what are you not letting go of? The easiest way we can talk about letting go is that when we hold on to these vibrations and these frequencies, and energy is so real, vested community, energy is so real. And there's positive and negative energy. I know you're like, oh, Jay, you don't know what I went through. Like, you don't understand. No, I don't understand. I don't know what you went through. But what I am doing is I want to encourage you to really understand the sooner we let go of things. Maybe it wasn't unfair. Maybe it wasn't your fault. Maybe it had nothing to do with you, totally out of your control. Maybe it makes absolutely no sense. You don't understand why things happen. I cannot explain that to you. But what I can tell you is that your best days are ahead, that your past doesn't equal your future, that everything that is happening to us is not happening to us, is happening for us, for our greater good, to make us stronger, to help us lift into higher elevations. So I don't know what it is that you're going through that maybe you have not let go of. Maybe you're like my brother Aaron, who's has this energy against his dad that he's been holding on for a long time. You know, maybe you're in a situation like myself where you thought you were going one direction with the relationship, and next thing you know, you're not going that direction, and there's a child in the game. I don't know what your situation is, but I can tell you without a shadow of a doubt that if we don't let go, it is catastrophic to our health. It is catastrophic to our well-being. It is catastrophic to our growth. So I just want to challenge you, Vested community, to really search your heart, search your mind, search your spirit, and ask yourself, what roots and what weeds do you need to pull up that you have not let go of?
Jamar, I'm back.
Hey,
and
man.
I'm ready. I'm ready to let go of this episode. Okay.
Hey.
Let me finish my story because it's empowering and it's the best part of the interaction that I had with this guy. When he started talking about cooking, he lit up like a Christmas tree. He's like, I lose sleep over it sometimes. I think about how I could do a rub, and he's like, and then all of a sudden he started like weirding out about it. He's like, but wood. I like to cook with wood. And basically what I'm getting at is that this whole conversation that we had with this guy, he wasn't even aware that he was fully capable of being incredibly happy in this very moment by dropping into something that he truly, truly enjoys. So for those that don't have a framework to follow your own joy. In the course of human history, at least in as long as I've been alive, I've never seen a better opportunity to be able to fall into who you are. I mean, jobs aren't what they used to be. The government isn't what they used to be. Money isn't. Sports isn't. Now it's time to totally create something new. And the only way to really know how to do it is by going inside. Find the joy, the happiness, the thing that makes you just feel good. I mean, I think I talked about a story earlier on Vested about how I had a buddy that when his job wasn't going with COVID, he decided to put a basketball in a backpack and ride his bike down to the park, jumping off curbs on the way. And he went and played basketball all by himself. And he was Michael Jordan, like he was 6 years old. He found it within himself to be able to experience a joy just for him. And honestly, since he shared that story with me, I've shared it with like 20 people. That experience of joy that he added to the I am we are process just by making himself happy like a little kid,
hey, Mom,
helped him pursue a better version of himself in a very chaotic understanding of what's going on right now. So Jamar, dude, I'm over this, man. Will you please tell him a little something and ask him a question?
Her mom.
Oh my goodness, Miss Baker. Hey, listen, I thank you for breaking on, Miss Baker. I love you. Thank you for dropping in. You are such a consistent guest. Hello, Miss Baker.
My mama says, you don't even know how much I support you. I'm like, I know, Mom, I love you.
She rocks. She rocks.
Hey, but you look at this, Coach D, I'm so grateful for you, man. You know, tech team. And like I said, I'll always say it now and forever, man, how much you have been light to my life. And you have no idea how much I look up to you, man. You know, and how much respect and love I have for you. And so just know that I will always communicate that. We got a video?
Well, it's just a picture.
Oh.
I'm grateful for you, Jamar. I'm grateful for my incredible wife. I'm grateful for the opportunity to be able to get up here and be vulnerable. There's actually people that watch our show, Jamar. We're actually starting to develop a significant community. I don't know how or why these people think what we have to say is legit, but I think it's legit and you think it's legit. So Hey, I'm just here to share the stumblings, man. I have not aced anything. I don't bat 1,000, and I've struck out more times than I've hit home runs. But I'm here, and I'm gonna keep swinging, Jamar. I'm just gonna keep swinging whether I hit it or not.
Well, here's the thing, in the world we're in today, I truly believe that if we're striving to do whatever it is, that if we can do it on our own power, then it's not big enough. Like whatever we're trying to work on, Vested Community, whatever projects, businesses, aspirations we have, companies, whatever it is that we're striving to do, if it's something that we can do on our own power, then we're not aiming high enough. Because things of greatness take well beyond our natural power. It takes the power of other people. It takes universal power to make things happen. So whatever you're doing in your life, if you feel you're crushing it because you got the power to do it, you haven't stepped up to the big leagues yet. Because to do something that's massive, to do something that's going to stand the test of time, to do something that someone would call extraordinary, it takes way more than self. And so here, as we're building this out, I'm excited to see where we're going to be in the future. And we're going to need universal power to get there. We're going to need support and love, and we're going to need all kind of help. But that's just part of the game. But if we don't let go of things that have been anchoring to us in our own life, there's no way we can go forward. And so, Vested Community, we don't know what it is that you've been tussling with and fighting over. And maybe you've been holding on to it so long that you don't even realize that you're holding on to it. Maybe the weight has been on your shoulders so long that you're walking like this because you got so much pressure on you that you haven't let go, but this is now normal for you. That when you let it go, you're like, oh, shoot, I didn't even know I had that. I don't know where you're at. But in the time right now, the world we're in today, we must be our most vibrational state, our most powerful state, our most peaceful state. That's the only way we're going to help more people. See, the world right now needs more people helping more people. You have a gift, you have a talent, you have wisdom, you have understanding, you have knowledge, you have perspective, you have gifts that other people need. So here at Best Community, we love you. Doesn't matter what you believe, we believe in God here. Whatever you believe, we love you as long as you're out there shining light and making it bright. Coach D?
I'm up.
Whatever they do, bro.
All right, man. Hey, listen, Vested Community, anything and everything that you ever do, let go. Experience compassion. Have fun. Express joy.
Yes.
But no matter what, you got to ask yourself one question. Are you best?